Hello everyone and welcome to the FiberLookup. Before we get started, it's extremely important that you know that the FiberLookup tool was developed by ACS Cloud Partners exclusively for its partners. It was designed and created by our in-house team of developers that possess a wealth of telecom knowledge to ensure that you're going to get one of the most robust, efficient, and effective tools in the industry. With that being said, let's get started. All right, now that we've made it past the login page, we can begin our search. Immediately you notice you have two different options. You can search by the address or by the company name. These listings are powered by Google. For instance, if you type in Pizza Hut, you'll notice a variety of different options, and you see this little message here that says powered by Google. Any address or location or company name that's been registered with Google My Business, there's a really good chance that it's gonna get populated in this search box. In the off chance that you can't find it in this listing here, you can always do a manual lookup by selecting this button here, and you can just enter the address that way. I know that my address is on this listing here powered by Google, so I'm going to go ahead and search that. Now this next page is going to be action-packed, and you're going to see a whole bunch of things going on. The first thing I want to set your eyes towards is on this left-hand side, you'll see these location results, and you'll see these spinning wheels. Essentially what's happening is that the FiberLookup is now making that real-time request for both the serviceability and the pricing availability for every single one of these providers. That's how you know the information the FiberLookup is populating is going to be the latest promo pricing, and it's also going to be the most accurate as well. On this main screen here, you'll see the house over the building that you or the location that you've entered, and you see all these different clusters with different numbers. These indicate all the different providers. Maybe they're on multiple levels of this building. For metro areas like Los Angeles, where there's tons of providers within a small radius, it's really helpful to kind of visualize things like this. And you can always select the cluster and see all the different providers in that section. Or you can hit uncluster over here on the bottom left, and it'll expand that selection. And now we get really a bird's eye view of all the different providers in that area. If you also wanted to see the shared internet providers in the area, you can always toggle it on here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to get closer to the building I've entered. And you can see as I get closer, I can see more of the providers in the area. Now, this can be a little difficult to interpret at first, so you can always rely on the location results over here on this left-hand side. You can see Spectrum Coax is green for serviceability. And if you don't know what any one of these statuses means, you can always select this information icon. It'll give you more information. But off the bat, this is an action-packed location where there's going to be tons of different provider options that we can quote out for our customer. What we can do next, we can actually go ahead and price this out. We can select pricing here. We have the option to enter an RFQ name. And this is super important because you can always reference your RFQs later. And the FiberLookup acts like a mini CRM. You're going to be able to save this customer the opportunity name. You can reference it at a later time. And what I'll show you later is how you can also get saved. So it's super convenient. You can always reference them when you're engaging your customer. I'm going to call this 624 South Grand. I'll call it Steve. And you'll see the different product categories here. Depending on the customer's budget, you could only quote shared internet. Or maybe you know that they want a dedicated internet circuit. And in addition to that, they want a backup shared internet circuit. So you can leave both there. You also see we have the options for SD-WAN, POTS. In the FiberLookup, we have multiple full-time developers constantly working on this tool. Moving on here, you can select the different dedicated internet providers. Kind of like a shopping cart, choose, maybe the customer already has AT&T and ACC, and select all the different provider options here. If you want, you can go crazy and select them all and get pricing for all. Just to keep it simplified, I'm going to stick with these three providers: Spectrum, Zayo, and Nitel. Maybe, and again, I know that they already have AT&T, ACC. I'm going to select the different speeds. Maybe I know the customer currently has 100 meg. Maybe they're not happy with their current provider. I'm going to go ahead and select 100 meg just to keep it consistent. You have the option to select static IPs, select the term. 3-year term always generates the best pricing from what I've seen. And you also see there's other options too: 3-year, 4-year, 5-year term. For Zayo, we have dedicated internet here. Select 100. 3-year term, just to kind of keep it apples to apples across everywhere. Alrighty. And now lastly, my shared internet connection, which we're looking to use as a backup. Spectrum is month to month. We have the with or without router options. Let's go with their 1 gig circuit. I'm gonna go ahead and hit run pricing. And as you can see here, we have those spinning wheels again. And again, that's because we have that direct system connection with all of these providers where the pricing that's being generated is in real time. While this finishes requesting the information from these different pricing APIs from these providers, over here on this top left-hand side, it's super important that you fill this information out because as I'll show you in a second, you can email pricing text and an RFQ link to the customer. We're gonna go ahead and fill this out. And the information on this right-hand side, this could always be modified by going to the profile section. You can change out your company logo, your signature information, and you'll see why that's going to be important because the email that you're going to send your customer is going to be populated with this information here. But now let's look at our results. We see that the NITAL is still thinking, that's all right. At the moment, we can already see that the FiberLookup has populated information for Spectrum Fiber, 100 meg, at $699. Similarly, Zayo 100 meg, $289. It's probably going to be a no-brainer as far as which one of these the customer is going to go with. And as you can see here, NITAL has come back at $262. That's even more competitive. Let's say, you know, for a fact, the customer is really looking for best pricing. You actually have the option of removing any one of these providers or speeds that you've selected simply by hitting this little minus button, delete it from here. Because maybe you want to simplify, you know, what you're presenting to the customer. You don't want to overwhelm them with 6, 7 different options. So now you're keeping it very simple for them. You're satisfied with this 1 gig pricing at $165, which is going to be their backup circuit. And now you're pairing Zayo and NITAL together. You're going to send it off to the customer and let them make the final decision. So from here, we can actually email the customer a pricing text, and within 15 seconds, you're going to hear the jingle. What's nice though is here in this RFQ history, you can really treat this almost like a mini CRM. Here's the opportunity that we were just working on. We have the status here open, and you can always revisit your RFQs. That's why it's super important that you label them something that you can identify later. Simply by clicking the hamburger here, going to RFQ history, selecting this eyeball here once you've located what you're looking for, and it'll bring you back to that pricing that you generated for that customer. If you're on a phone call with them and they want to reference something, you can always revisit that. And I did hear the jingle arrive to my Outlook, but if you wanted to go one step further, you can also email your customer an RFQ link that will take them to a dashboard just like this. I'm gonna go ahead and hit email RFQ to customer. It's gonna automatically already say hello and the customer's first name. I'm just gonna say, please see below. And this is the information that is going to be generated from the FiberLookup. I'm going to send the customer this RFQ link, which I'm going to open up. So it's going to say, hello, Steve, please see below. And it's going to say you can review the RFQ from this link. What's super neat about the RFQ link that's generated, it's going to look exactly like this, what you see on your screen. It's going to have their information on the top left-hand side, which is going to make it feel really personalized for them, and have your contact information so they can reach out to you. And they're going to have all the different options that you left for them. So again, NITAL and Zayo were the 2 options that we've presented them with, and they can actually request order. You know, maybe you can walk them through when you're on the phone with them and say, hey, now that we're both looking at this dashboard, feel free to request to order any one of these services. Let's say they go with the Zayo here, hit accepted. Maybe they're satisfied with the Spectrum coax as a backup circuit. They'll hit request order. And in just a few seconds, I'm going to hear a chime from my Outlook indicating that the customer has accepted these 2 different services and that we can proceed to order them. I just heard it now. Essentially, now you'll get an automatic email that's from the FiberLookup saying, hey, Sergio, your customer, Steve, has accepted the Zayo 100 meg for $289. Similarly, the Spectrum 940 by 35 at $165. Now you can go back to your channel manager. You can just give them a call, send them a text, or email your support manager. Let them know if they can assist you in generating the contracts for both Zayo and placing the order for Spectrum coax. And now from the inception of when you've entered an address, interpreted the results, ran the different pricing options to creating this dashboard, in just a few minutes, you can see from beginning to completion, we were able to get real-time serviceability and generate the best pricing all from the FiberLookup. And one of the other added benefits of being here on this RFQ dashboard, if you select this text here where it says RFQ data, you can click it, it will expand the selection, and you're going to see tons of useful information. For instance, you'll see the created date, when you've sent the RFQ dashboard link to the customer, how many times they viewed it, and also when the last open customer date was. I can see the customer opened this, 5 minutes ago. That could indicate to you, hey, maybe now is an opportune time to reach out to the customer just because I know they have the RFQ quote in front of them and it can help you close deals faster. In addition to that, you can also modify the status. If you know the customer is already viewing the quote, you can move this to the negotiation phase or the presentation phase just to keep you very orderly with your RFQ. Lastly, you can also select the view count here. It's actually going to indicate to you when the customer opened that RFQ link, where they're opening it from. And if you select this little drop down here, you get some other information. This just gives you added information as far as, where your customer is. Are they where they say they are? Just so that you have that knowledge in the back of your mind. The FiberLookup is an exceptional tool containing detailed information that will simplify and streamline your quoting process. Please reach out to your channel manager to schedule a training or if you need additional support with login. Thank you for your time.